My motivator this whole time was my babies, and I knew the more I wanted to do for them, I'm going to need to work in my therapy. So occupational therapy, physical therapy, I tried my hardest. I pushed myself to the limit because I knew I wanted to be the one taking care of my babies.
Welcome to our newest episode of A30 Amplified. I'm Daniel Elizondo, Managing Editor of the Pleasanton Express, and with me is co-host Charlie Gallegos, Digital Content Editor of the Pleasanton Express. And we have a very special guest today, Miss Krystina Pacheco. All of you may know her in the county. Her story is of perseverance. She's handled everything with grace under the unimaginable circumstances, and we're just so happy to have her. Krystina, welcome to our show.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
Good.
Good. I heard that you guys went on vacation just recently.
Yes, that's why I look so tan.
I can see the glow in your
yes,
face.
that's what I told him. I said, I like when I get tan because your face just looks more radiant.
Right.
Yeah.
So how's everything going with the family, and how's everything in your life right now going?
It's going. I mean, we have two toddlers, so our son just turned 5 and our daughter's 2.5.
I saw that. You guys celebrated a birthday with your son Owen, correct?
Yes, Owen.
How are they doing? They're doing good?
Living life.
Yeah. Good.
Terrorizing mom.
Krystina, just want to kind of go in the beginning and talk about how all of this transpired and how you've overcome all of this, but just kind of take us to the beginning and what you want to share.
Okay. So this all happened after I gave birth to my daughter, Amelia, and so this is about 2.5 years ago.
Okay,
Yep.
This was in 2022, correct?
2022, yes.
Okay.
So it was on Monday, October 24th, 2022. We were getting prepped for surgery. You know, when we went into the hospital, we had everything ready to go. We actually had to leave about 4 or 5 in the morning from Pleasanton because I was already having contractions, so she was ready.
Yeah.
So they switched myself and another pregnant mom C-section time. So they took us earlier and them later. So when they started prepping me for surgery, they put the IV in my forearm. And the nurse actually said, "Oh, I kind of messed up a little. Let me try it again." So she tried it again. And she actually put it like a little bit above on the forearm, on the skin, and she said, "Oh, you're gonna get a little bump there, but everything should be fine." And I said, "Okay." So then after we had our daughter, everything was good. The next few days, actually, until that last day, I remember I started complaining that very early morning about my arm hurting, exactly where the IV was, and I said, "You know, I can't even sleep on my left arm. That's how much it hurts." And the nurses said, "Oh, it's okay. We'll just take the IV out. It's fine." And I said, "Okay." So they kept giving me pain medication for my arm, and I was complaining more about my forearm pain than the actual C-section site. And I told her, you know, this morning I woke up with a fever and I'm feeling chills. And she's like, "Oh, well, let me just give you Motrin. You should be fine." And I said, "Okay." And so throughout the day, I kept complaining about my arm. And this was our last day there already. And she kept giving me cold compresses because that's how much it was feeling hot to the touch. It started getting red around the area. It started getting splotchy. And you know, she's like, "I don't like the way that arm is looking. Let me go ahead and ask the doctor to get a sonogram." So she brings the doctor in. This is my first time meeting him. And does, you know, the sonogram, looking at the screen, the technician's doing the Doppler. And he's like, "Oh, you just have a thrombus. You should be fine," which a thrombus is a little blood clot, which, you know, to us, I guess we thought, "Oh, well, I guess it's nothing serious," because he's dismissing it. And he's like, "Oh, honey, baby, you're fine." And I was like, "Okay." And this was my first time meeting him, and I told my husband, I was like, did he just call me honey baby? I remember being so upset, and I said, first of all, I don't know you, and then second of all, that was very condescending of him, when I'm in pain essentially. And so he just dismissed everything, and we were discharged. And we went home. We were excited at that point because we were going to go home and start our new little family with our daughter and our son. And the next 2 nights were obviously not okay. I started getting really bad, like shortness of breath. I started getting really bad pain under my ribs. I remember I couldn't even lie down on our bed, and it wasn't because of the pain of the C-section. It was because under my ribs it was hurting so badly. And then finally, so we had her on Monday, and finally Friday, I woke up and I just didn't feel right. I knew something was wrong. I had a lot of stomach pain. I had a lot of, trips to the restroom and a lot of vomiting. And I told my husband, something's not right. I know my body and I know something's not right. And so we went to the urgent care. We called my sister-in-law. We said, hey, can you come watch the baby? We rushed to the urgent care. When they finally brought me back, I couldn't even lie down on the table. And they said, you need to go to the emergency room. We went to the emergency room. They called us back, and they took my blood pressure, my heart rate, and right away they rushed me to a room in the back of the emergency room. And that's where the doctor told us, we don't know what's really going on. They could have nicked something while they were doing the C-section. They could have nicked your gallbladder. You could, something in your organs could be wrong because you just had a C-section. We don't know what's going on. And by the end of the night, I just started declining, and they knew they had to prep me if I was going to go to surgery. But they said, there's nothing we can do for you at this hospital. You're going to have to go to the hospital you gave birth at. Mm-hmm. And that means you're either going to have to take an ambulance ride or we're going to have to air life you. Which at that point, I don't know if they were just trying to make us feel better or soften the blow, I guess, because they were like, oh, there's no ambulance available right now. We're going to have to air life you there. And I don't know, that was just trying to make it seem like it wasn't that urgent. But they said,
are you feeling terrified at this point?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, we didn't know what was going on. I was scared and obviously emotional because, sorry, I didn't get to say bye to my son, say bye to my daughter. She's days old and we didn't know what was going on. So I remember being in the helicopter and they just airlifed us, and airlifed just me by myself. Jacob couldn't go with me. And I was feeling just very anxious because I was already having shortness of breath, and then on top the pain and then the anxiety of it all is just scary. So we get to the hospital I gave birth at, and they themselves still didn't know what was going on. They knew that they had to take me back for scanning. I remember when they took me back for the MRI, I was just screaming because I was in so much pain. And they started pushing medication for my heart rate to go down and my blood pressure to come up. And those medications are called vasopressors. Mm-hmm. And what they do is they try to get your blood pressure to come back up. And by the end of that night, it was already getting into the next morning. They finally called the doctor in. We hadn't seen a doctor all night. There was no night shift emergency room doctor. So they had to call someone to come in first thing in the morning. And they said, we're going to have to put you a breathing tube. You're going to have to go under into a medically induced coma. And I remember that when they started pushing those medications, my hands and my feet started getting very purple already. They started getting really cold. And then they started pushing the breathing tube in. And that's when I heard Jacob, you're gonna have to fight. I can't raise 2 babies by myself. I need you. Please don't give up. Please fight. I can't raise 2 babies. 2 babies can't live without their mama. And so that's the last thing I remember before waking up 2 weeks later. When I woke up, my hands and my feet were black at this point. And I still remember asking Jacob, what happened? What happened? Tell me what happened. And, he had to tell me that, you suffered septic shock or toxic shock syndrome. And then you went septic. All your organs started shutting down. They had to put me on a machine called ECMO. Mm-hmm. And what that does is basically does the function of your heart and your lungs. They had me on a continuous dialysis machine because my kidneys were shutting down. And then they explained to me, I guess, what had happened. And at first they thought it was a uterine infection that I had got it from. They thought it was from my C-section. But then they said, no, we don't need to take out her uterus. Everything looks fine there. And my mom right away actually pointed it. She was like, she got that from the IV. She got it from the IV. And I think she said she remembers telling doctors she got that from the IV. That's the only area that she was having problems with. And 2 weeks later, it's already Thanksgiving, and my plastic surgeon comes in and she says, at this point, Jacob actually had stepped out. He had went to go get his food, and my nurse stepped out, and my doctor kind of just slipped right in. She said, there's no more blood supply that's going into your hands or your feet. We're going to have to amputate all 4. Just very dry, very monotoned, and I just started screaming. And crying and wailing, and my nurse rushed back in. At this point, Jacob was already getting there, and he rushed back in. He's like, what's going on? What happened? And I told him what happened and what she told me. And he looked at her and he said, how dare you? How dare you let her know, that big news without me? And, he actually stepped out with her and told her some words and complained to the chief of surgery this doctor told my wife the most horrible news, and there was nobody in the room to be there with her, nobody to support her while she heard this. And they did my amputations the week of Thanksgiving. That Monday, they amputated my hands. The next day, I even went back to another scanning just to make sure if there was any way they could save my feet. And they said there was no blood supply going to them anymore. So they had to amputate the next day my legs, my feet, both sides. And so I am bilateral below knee on both legs, and bilateral both arms, below elbow on both arms. So I stayed in the hospital until the very last week of January of 2023. So I was in the hospital for 3 months.
3 months. Wow. Mm-hmm. And this whole time, you're unable to care for your newborn.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. Everybody, everybody would take turns bringing the kids to the hospital every weekend. My parents would come, his parents would come. They would bring the babies, and very late at night, they had to take them home. And take turns taking care of our newborn, and it was just hard every time they would have to leave because there's my baby. My babies, both my babies, who had to leave. And I had to stay the night, by myself in a hospital room where I couldn't do anything. I felt useless almost because I couldn't get anything for myself. I had to call and wait on nurses, and nurses are running around taking care of other patients. I understood that, and I wasn't the only patient there, but it feels just so helpless. You feel so helpless because you have to wait on other people to help you. And I spent that Thanksgiving, my baby's first Christmas, her first New Year's, I'm in the hospital and I wasn't able to spend it with my babies and my family the way I was supposed to. And just thinking back on that, it's very hard to think I wasn't there for those 3 months. And it's hard because as a mom, that, I know because, I had my son and I was able to be there for the first 2 years of his life throughout everything, the first cuddles, the first from breastfeeding him, and to think back, I wasn't there for my daughter during those, critical months, because those are the times that they depend on you and you soak in all the firsts, and that was very hard. And it was even hard when we got home because there was only so much I could do at that point.
Because at this point, your whole, for both of you, your lives changed dramatically in a flash.
Yes.
You're having to adjust. Talk about that adjustment that you guys, when you got back home and to tackle all of that.
Yes. My mom actually was able to take family sick leave from work, and she was able to take about 3 months off. And she was there. She moved in with us. My dad stayed back home and, took care of stuff at home. And my mom helped us with cleaning. She helped us with cooking. She stepped in, helped me with the kids. She would take them to and from daycare. She would take me to therapy because at this point I had started occupational and physical therapy. And she didn't mind at all doing any of that. She still doesn't mind, jumping in and helping us. And I think without the support system that we have, with his family and my family, we would have never made the adjustments. We would never be as positive as we are. And I think because of that support, we're even more positive, and we just look at life way differently, and we value life a lot more because of that. And the community had the big fundraiser for us, and it even changes the way you think about people, and you think about people in this world, and all we see is just bad in this world, and all you see is just people being mean and being unkind to one another. And when we saw how many people came together just for us, me still being in the hospital, but my babies and our little family, and I think that touched a lot of people's hearts, was that I'm a mom and I'm without my kids, and people from all over Texas came to the fundraiser, picked up plates and bought bake sale items. A lot of people participated in the auction, silent auction, live auction. People volunteered their time to work in the kitchen, volunteered their time to cook the plates and the chicken, and volunteered baked goods. My friends at the co-op, they all ran the baked goods table, and they all volunteered and made something for the baked goods. And people volunteered or donated items for the auctions, and it just really is so beautiful to see a community come together. And it's special. It's just obviously special to me, but now that I've been living here, and to see that, and but obviously it touches my husband's heart a little bit more because he's from here, he was raised here, he went to high school here.
And that's what I was going to touch on, because you're really not originally from this area.
No.
You're new to this area. This is happening, so I can see that happening, because on a personal level, I know his family. I've known his family for a long time. And
yes.
like we were talking earlier, I went to school with his mom.
Yes.
So, great family. Mm-hmm. And, you're blessed to have that.
Yes.
That support system and being you in the community.
Yes, yeah.
And
I've only been living here 8 years. Yes, we lived together.
Oh.
8 years.
Better remember.
We just celebrated our 6th anniversary.
Oh, so 7 years.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
congratulations.
Yeah.
Congrats.
July 6th was our 6th anniversary.
Yeah.
Very recent.
Yes, very recently.
Sunday. Yeah,
Yeah.
Sunday. So it's definitely touching to see the community step up for her.
Yeah, for us.
For us.
Mm-hmm. And even my community back home, I'm from Del Rio. Mm-hmm. My mom's job, my family held a fundraiser, plate sales, and they came together and raised money for us. And even school psychologists around the state of Texas, somebody put it out on our Texas School Psych Facebook group, and we got donations from other school psychologists, and they
Even
would
coaches.
say,
Even coaches from around the United States.
That's
it just kind of
incredible.
spread.
yeah, the word spread
That's incredible.
everywhere,
awesome.
Yeah.
around the world, actually.
Yeah, I can imagine, because, it's a very rare something like this happens, so.
Yeah.
Now you are home from the hospital. You were released in February, but you went back to work August that same year, 6 months later.
Yes.
That's amazing. A little bit about that.
Okay.
What your steps were, getting back into work, how that was.
Mm-hmm. So getting back to work, I knew I really needed to work in physical therapy. Mm-hmm. I set my motivation on that. Obviously, my motivator this whole time was my babies, and I knew the more I wanted to do for them, I'm going to need to work in my therapy. So occupational therapy, physical therapy. Mm-hmm. I tried my hardest. I pushed myself to the limit because I knew I wanted to be the one taking care of my babies. I knew I wanted to get back to normal life as much as possible, as normal as life was going to get for us. Mm-hmm. So when I got my prosthetics I got one prosthetic leg in May of 2023, and then I got the next leg in June. And I was finally able to wear both legs by June and able to finally start walking. And just that alone is an emotional feeling because I was in a chair. Yeah. From a hospital bed to a mobile chair, I was able to finally stand up and take steps and walk and be mobile around our home, be mobile around the community, and walk with our kids, go outside with our kids, and just get back to a little bit of normalcy from there. So the whole summer I worked, and I said I want to go back to work. I worked with therapies, occupational therapy. We worked with devices and things that would help me with my work, and they knew I wrote a lot of reports, so I even practiced with a software called Dragon, and that's how I was able to do the speech to text, to write reports, and just be ready to go back to work. Another motivation was my friends at the co-op, because they are my friends and they were there for me throughout my hospital stay. They visited us about once a week.
a group of them would come and visit me and bring me goods and bring me food and all the good fried food and crumble every week. And, they were there for us. And I knew that in order to feel like myself again, I wanted to be surrounded by them because they were not only my friends, but, at the Co-op, we call ourselves a family. And that's really what it feels like, is they're my family too, because they were there so much for me. And in August, I said, okay, I'm ready to come back to work. I know I want to do this, and I'm ready to come back full time. And Lindsay Povelic and Maria Lopez, the director, and previous director and now director of the Co-op, said, okay, we're ready for you to come back. We're going to get the software for you. We're going to, set up things around the office, make it more comfortable for you. We already know what child cases you're going to be working on. You're going to do all the in-house, all the child finds, and that way you're not going to have to be traveling everywhere to every campus. You're going to have an intern. You're going to be supervising an intern. She'll take you around to campuses if you need a ride. And so they were ready to receive me back as well. So that felt nice to be needed. And I right away jumped into testing, writing reports, and I just felt like myself again, especially being around my friends and just laughing again and not thinking about things that were going on, because while I was at home, that's all I could think about, things I couldn't do, things that I used to be able to do and couldn't do. And, you just ruminate on that while you're at home and by yourself, or just me by myself with my mom. And my mom was actually working from home a lot of the time. So it was just me watching TV or just thinking about things or staying in bed because I didn't want to wake up. I felt like there was nothing for me at that time to wake up for. So
you found that motivation through your family and your kids and your workplace, but you were so determined to walk.
Yes.
That was a big that was and I can't find any other words other than to say, that was a big step for you
Yes.
to do that.
Yeah, literally.
And then when you did that, I
Yeah.
mean, talk about that motivation to do that, because weren't you like, didn't you work out and do all of that
Yes,
before?
I was a fitness instructor
So
for 10 years.
you still had that mindset.
Yes.
Like, I'm going
Yeah.
to do this.
Yes, all throughout both pregnancies, you would see me working out or going on walks with our big 70-pound dog and walking around the neighborhood. And people even recognized us around the neighborhood because we had the big Milo, and he's big and white and fluffy. And
The sheep on the leash.
they even saw as our family started growing. And I was a fitness instructor at UT when I went to school there. I taught Zumba and Nike Training Club. And then when I went to UTSA, I taught there for a couple of years. And then I actually taught at Alpha Iron Gym. I taught Zumba here in town because I knew I wasn't ready to stop doing fitness. And so going back to, like you said, it was my motivation. It's my determination. It's already, I guess, instilled in me that motivator part and working out and doing all the work, because you don't realize until you're in that situation how much abs and how much glute work and how much mental work as well it takes to just walk. And that's just walking. The rest is, you can run, you can jog, all of that. There's no limits to what prosthetics can really do now, but at that point, I was just focused on walking, and all the ab work and glute work that it takes to just walk is insane, and all the sweating. There's a lot of sweating now.
He even has to carry like little handkerchiefs so he can wipe it.
How often were you doing that? Because you're having to go to San Antonio. You're still going to the same facility for this rehabilitation?
No, I stopped going to rehab in October of 2023.
Okay.
Yeah, so that same year I was, walking on my own. I was kind of dwindling down with therapy. I was going 3 times a week at first, and then it dwindled down to 2 times a week, and then 1 time a week by the end. So I was able to stop therapy. I probably shouldn't have stopped, but I was kind of ready to just get back to life too, because that does take a lot as well. You have to plan our trips to San Antonio, schedule 2 therapies in a row, and then an hour back home, and then we had to go pick up the babies right away, so there's no resting time. It was a full day's work just to go to therapy. So that took out a lot of our time. I felt like, and I was just ready to just have my days where I could relax, really relax when I wasn't working. So I was also working 3 times a week. So that also took a lot out of me as well. But the walking part, I guess, you think coming out of the hospital, I think what people have the misconception of prosthetics is that you think when you're being released from the hospital, you're going to come out walking. And that's not really the situation, I guess. You have to work on your balance, you have to work on your abs, you have to get core strength right before you even focus on walking. And to make the prosthetics is also a process, because you have to go through insurance, you have to be approved by insurance, they have to deem it medically necessary in order for you to get prosthetics. And if it's not medically necessary, say you're able to get around in a wheelchair and you're able to do that without a problem, then they think you're medically okay. And it's not really fair, because it's not deemed medically necessary to have legs, medically necessary to have arms and do that function already. But when it comes to having amputations, just to feel some sense of normalcy, I feel like it is medically necessary.
Absolutely.
Even in the mental health capacity, I feel like my mental health would not be okay if I was just stuck in a chair. And, personally, and that's of course my opinion, and obviously I had the option of getting prosthetics, but just for my mental health as well, I feel like I wouldn't be mentally strong or motivated or determined if I knew I wasn't going to be able to walk, if I knew I wasn't going to have a chance of normal life. And we even had people visit us in the hospital who are amputees. And there was this one gentleman, he had all 4 as well. And he said, I work. I take care of my kids. I'm a dad. I drive. I help them out in sports. I coach my kids' teams. So there is a light at the end of the tunnel. There is a chance at life. There is a chance at normalcy. And that alone, I think, in the hospital, obviously it seems like there's no way. There's no way I'm going to be able to do all that. There's no way I'm going to be able to be a mom. There's no way I'm going to be able to take the care of my kids the way I had always planned to. But once it started becoming a reality, it's like, okay, I can do this. This isn't too bad. Once I started walking, obviously, I even got even more determined. I said, okay, I'm ready to start driving. I'm ready to start dancing, yes.
I saw a video of you dancing when you danced for the first time.
Yes. That was actually one of my goals during therapy, during physical therapy. My physical therapist, she said, what's your goal? By the end of all this, what is your big goal? And I said, I want to dance with my husband again. I said, we used to love going out country dancing, and that's what I want to do. I want to dance with my husband again. That's my goal. And she's like, okay, we're going to do it. And actually, have gone into dance with him several times now, and he spins me around like nothing. I think even one time he, at a wedding, he even pulled my arm off and kept dancing around with it, and I was like, babe.
We're sweating. It was sweating.
I was sweaty, so they slip off when you're sweaty.
Well, I did see the video of you dancing, and I did see him try to spin you, and I was watching the video. I was like, wait, be careful.
Yeah, no, we spin like nothing.
It looked great. It looked great, and you guys look so happy.
Gotta learn how to fall, right?
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
That's
So I'm
there's
sure
a
you
lot of
experienced a lot of that, right?
Yes, there's a lot.
Because, it's the learning and,
Yes, there is a lot of falling. There's a lot of tripping. There's a lot of
A lot of bruises.
bruises. Yeah.
frustrations.
Yeah, frustrations, especially when it comes to the hands as well. There's things that obviously I can't do, like my hair, my baby's hair, and that's frustrating. And because when you have a baby girl, you think I'm going to be able to do her hair and put her these bows and dress her up. And at first I couldn't do any of those things, but now I brush her hair, I get her ready for bed. She's obsessed with princess dresses. I put her on her princess dresses and her little high heels, and she in her mind she is a princess, and she acts like it. And she's the princess of the house. And he'll brush her hair and do her hair, and I'll clip in the little bows for her. So it might look different, but in my heart I'm still their mom. I'm still doing the mom things for them, for our son. We go outside, we play soccer, we kick the ball, to each other. He still wrestles me like he used to before, and climbs on top of mom. He thinks he's, light 20-pound kid. He's 5 years old and 55 pounds and feels like it. And, the kids are so resilient. I guess that's what I'm trying to get to, is that in their mind, I am mom. And having these amputations didn't change any of that. In their mind, I am mom to them. I get stuff for them. I do stuff for them. I teach them. I teach them lessons. I teach them educational things. I teach them mental health. And I think because of my background in mental health, I was able to not only find that motivation myself, but also teach my kids that it's okay to feel sad, and it's okay to feel like you can't do things, and it's okay to feel like you need help with things. And that's what I always tell them. You can say, I can't do it right now, but that doesn't mean you'll never be able to do it. And I always tell them, don't say, I can never do that. You always have to say, I'm going to be able to do that one day. And find that motivation and work towards something, and don't ever give up. That's our big one as well. Like, don't ever give up, because look what mommy can do. Mommy used to not be able to walk, and now mommy's walking. And now mommy's doing this, and now mommy's driving. And even when, I'm confronted by children, or not confronted, but asked questions by kids. They ask, what happened? What happened to you? Why don't you have arms? Why don't you have legs? Why don't you have hands? And I say, I got sick, and they had to take my hands and my legs and my feet away. And if they wouldn't have done that, then I wouldn't have survived. And in order for me to survive, they had to amputate. But now I'm able to walk, and now I'm able to drive. And I'm able to be their mommy, and I'm able to take care of my babies and feed my babies and cook for them and brush their hair and get them dressed and do all the things that I had always dreamed of doing. So I guess that's what I'm trying to get to, is that in their mind, I am mom. And having these amputations didn't change any of that. In their mind, I am mom to them. I get stuff for them. I do stuff for them. I teach them. I teach them lessons. I teach them educational things. I teach them mental health. And I think because of my background in mental health, I was able to not only find that motivation myself, but also teach my kids that it's okay to feel sad, and it's okay to feel like you can't do things, and it's okay to feel like you need help with things. And that's what I always tell them. You can say, I can't do it right now, but that doesn't mean you'll never be able to do it. And I always tell them, don't say, I can never do that. You always have to say, I'm going to be able to do that one day, and find that motivation and work towards something, and don't ever give up. That's our big one as well. Like, don't ever give up, because look what mommy can do. Mommy used to not be able to walk, and now mommy's walking. And now mommy's doing this, and now mommy's driving. And even when, you know, I'm confronted by children, or like, not confronted, but asked questions by kids, they ask, you know, what happened? What happened to you? Why don't you have arms? Why don't you have legs? Why don't you have hands? And I say, I got sick, and they had to take my hands and my legs and my feet away. And if they wouldn't have done that, then I wouldn't have survived. And in order for me to survive, they had to amputate. But now I'm able to walk, and now I'm able to drive, and I'm able to be their mommy, and I'm able to take care of my babies and feed my babies and cook for them and brush their hair and get them dressed and do all the things that I had always dreamed of doing.
You know, school's coming up.
Yes.
Are y'all excited about that? I'm sure the kids are, and you have
The
plans.
kids are not.
No, they're not. Okay.
They're actually,
they have to get up early now.
yeah, they have to get up early.
Yeah.
They're actually staying with just mama this month, so we're gonna have a lot of bonding time. But our son will start pre-K4 at Our Lady of Grace, and then our daughter goes to First Baptist, so she goes to daycare, and I like to drop off my son. Sometimes I drop off our daughter when I was driving, and then pick them up as well after I was done working for the day. I would pick up our son from school and pick up our daughter from daycare, and get them snacks right after school, because they demand snacks.
Yes, they're always hungry.
Always hungry. But that's the joy. Like, that's the things the little things bring me joy, because I just am so grateful that I'm able to do those things. And be his supporter as well, be my husband's supporter, because as a coach, you know, there's a lot of time and hours that go into that, and we love to go watch his games. We love to go watch and support him. Mostly we go see our favorite coach, is what we say. Let's go see our favorite coach. And obviously, because you see all the football coaches, and we have a hard time like finding which one is which, because they all stand the same. They all have either the like crossed arm stand or the hands on the hip stands. And so we're like, which one's daddy? And you know, so that's fun for us. So going to support the Eagles, obviously our kids have fun watching the football game and the cheerleaders, but we like to go support Jacob as well, Coach Pacheco. And you know, for his soccer games as well, we're there in the stands, and our kids will yell at him in the stands and distract him sometimes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, you know, we like to be his supporters as well.
That's great. And all these things that you've been able to do with your children now, we've seen some of it on TikTok, and you're influencing so many out there that have gone or going through this situation.
Yes. On TikTok, I have almost 26,000 followers, and my story I posted a story as soon as I got out of the hospital, and from one day to the next, it just blew up. It got almost like 4 million views on TikTok, and just recently I posted another story about, you know, I kind of just refreshing on my TikTok what happened to me, why it happened, and obviously there's good comments and negative comments that come with it, but I like to put my story out there because I say I want to advocate for people. I knew my body wasn't the same. I knew something was going on. I knew something was wrong. And so that's when, finally, thankfully, it was at the right moment in time where they could still save my life. And at that point in time, they said that I had less than a 10% chance. They told my husband. And he even asked, you were being generous with those numbers, right? And the doctor said yes. And they didn't think that I was going to be able to come out of it. And a lot of people who are placed on ECMO do not come out of it. And so it was a blessing, obviously, that for us that our story was in a positive way. And on my TikTok as well, sorry, going back, I also put out a video of myself doing makeup. And that's another one that got a lot of traction and got a lot of views and likes. And so I'm like, cool. So I think I'm going to kind of run with this makeup thing. And I tell him, like, I have to buy makeup because it's for TikTok. It's not for me.
You're doing an excellent job.
Yeah. And skincare and makeup and all of that. And not only
So
that
we have all these Amazon boxes showing up at the house.
A lot. I don't even open them anymore. I don't want to know.
yeah, I say, that's mine. I take it right away so he doesn't have to see it.
I hope it's a gift, like a surprise for me.
No,
like,
even the kids are like, is that for me? And I'm like, no, sorry. That's for mommy. And
I got her a vanity for Christmas or your birthday?
my birthday.
Her birthday. And so
Yeah.
it's the best buy that I've ever had.
Yeah, the best purchase
When-
he's ever made
Yeah.
because I get ready every morning, every night at that vanity, do my skincare. And, it's my, I think it's one of my coping mechanisms because as women, I think we feel like our beauty comes from outside.
Right.
And we have always been taught that way. We've always been raised that in order for a woman to be beautiful, they have to be beautiful on the outside, and we're not really raised to how to teach, our babies, our little girls, how to be beautiful on the inside.
Right.
And I think that's something with beauty that I knew I wanted to feel beautiful again. And in order for me to do that, I take care of my skin. I want to look pretty with makeup. I want to look pretty with my hair. And that's why I spend so much time, doing all of those things, because that's the way that I feel beautiful again. That's the only way I feel like, and maybe it's not because I feel like I'm kind inside, obviously, but that's the way I feel comfortable. And that's how I feel like myself again.
Right. It makes
feel-
you you.
It makes me me.
Yes.
Yeah. And I just like teaching others and showing others how to do their makeup and how to do contour and how to do blush and which products are working for me and which products are not working for me. And I like to also post videos of Amelia and I doing our makeup and teaching her as well, as a mom of a girl, I try to teach her that not only is she beautiful, I say you're not only pretty, right? You're intelligent. So we're pretty, we're smart, we're intelligent, we're kind. So we even say those little mantras in the mirror.
That's so
And
cute.
I just want to teach her that no matter what happens, and my son too, no matter what happens in this life, you have to keep going. You can't give up, and that's what I try to teach our kids. I'm gonna go back to, I guess I didn't really talk about. I keep going back to our kids and not TikTok.
It's okay.
Fine.
Sorry.
That's what we're finding out is
Yes.
that's your huge motivation is your kids.
Yeah.
And I kind of want to touch on Jacob. She's going through all this. All of a sudden, then you have to be the rock.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there were moments when you were like, I don't know if I can do this, right?
Yes.
How did you battle through that? And what did you go through?
Well, it's like the night of, the day of Krystina getting sick, and that Friday, the 28th, right? Correct. Like it falls so hard you don't even feel it almost. It was weird. Like I said, I asked the doctor what are her percent chances, or what are the chances, and he says it's very meek, and I'm like, like I know what that means, but like give me a number, like I need a number. He said less than 10%, and that it changes a lot, and but the way I made it through was with the family. Like her parents were there, and my parents were there, my brother and sister, her brother and sister-in-law. My sister-in-law was there, and you just kind of, but you, like you said, like a rock, and like everybody starts leaning on you, and it's holding you up as much as you're holding them up. And then you come to find out, like, the community was praying for me the whole time, praying for us the whole time. And thanks to the community, and not just Pleasanton, but Texas in general, just it keeps you up, it keeps you motivated, that they're praying for you, they're behind you. And then like we said earlier, that I'm from here, and the outpour of like, hey, we're thinking of you, we're praying for you, we want to run a fundraiser,
Yeah.
A fundraiser for you, a fundraiser for your family, and it really made me smile and think about like all the good that we've done for the community, and me being a teacher here, and Krystina working at the school district, that the small things we do, and the kindness that we show, it really does pay forward to you. And it really does. And so that fundraiser was amazing, that we there was so many people helping out, and that's what kept me strong too, because I didn't have to worry about the little things. How are we going to do this? How are we going to buy ramps for our house? How are we going to make modifications to the house? Because we've had to make a ramp in the back of the house, and we've had to buy ramps to get into the house, because it's not an ADA home.
No.
But we make it work, that's for sure. We had to open up our shower, we had to buy bidets. Nobody thinks about that stuff for the toilets, and we had to buy the stuff for the kids, and how do you do this, and it really did help. There's one less thing that I had to worry about when I was with Krystina, though.
Yes.
And that's really how that happened. And then just being a dad too, like Krystina's preached this whole time, that being a dad is,
It just kicks in.
you just have to do it. You don't have time. You don't have time
No.
to
To dwell on it.
anything. Yeah.
You just find that strength.
Yep, exactly. And you just, it's in you. It's in a lot of us. And you don't know it until you know it. But there's some sleepy, there's some tired days, and some restless nights. But we talked about earlier, going on vacation. It's a whole hassle of its own, because you're the man of the house, and you feel like, oh, I got to make sure my wife's okay, but I also got to make sure the kids are okay. And then like you're in Mexico, where you I don't know the language, Krystina does, but
I translated the whole time.
yeah, she translated.
Oh, cool.
And you're on a cruise ship, and there's people, you're always like looking around to make sure everything's fine, and that's stressful. But at the same time, like, you want to have a good time, and you want to show your kids to have a good time. So it's a dad thing, I don't know, it's weird to say that it's a dad thing, and you just do what you got to do. Especially, she's pretty great too, so.
We're a good team.
Christina,
Yeah, we're a good team.
with
Y'all are a great team.
with what you're trained to do, all of a sudden you're having to help yourself in what you were trained to do, when you've always still help others.
Wanted to help others, yeah.
Was there any point in time when you felt like, I can't do this?
I think when I first got out of the hospital, I did go into a pretty deep depression, because in the hospital, like I said, there's people always around you, and there to help you, and always, somebody's always in your room. And when you go home, it's almost like, okay, where is everybody? Like, and not that we didn't have people for us, but I think at that point you have to learn how to do it yourself, and nobody's gonna always do it for you. And so I got into a pretty deep depression. I even talk about it now, that I suffer from depression, I suffer from anxiety, I suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder, because if I get sick, am I gonna get worse? Is something else gonna happen to me? And it's always hard not to think, well, is the other shoe gonna drop? something bad going to happen. And just first getting out of the hospital, you think about everything in your home reminds you of things you used to do and what you used to do and how you used to do it. And there would be days where I could barely get out of bed. And I would wake up and I would just cry for like hours. And when other people would, give my baby her bottle or change her diaper, and I just had to sit there like on the side and not be able to help, that also hurts as a mom. And so I knew at that point that I had to speak to someone else and, not lean on him so much, because he obviously is going through things himself. So I started therapy, and I knew it was for my betterment and to talk to someone, because there's so much anger. I think that we hold something could have been done, and I hold so much, thank you, resentment even towards myself, because I said I should have known better. I should have said something. I should have said that I still don't feel good. I should have said something. And at that point, that's where I need to talk to a therapist, and because they tell me, you couldn't have known. This could have happened from anything. This happens to people that get a kidney stone. This happens to people who get strep throat. Anybody can go through sepsis. Anybody can get sepsis, and it's not just pregnant moms. And it wasn't even, that's another thing that people always comment, well, like, that's why I don't want to have babies, and that's why I don't want to have kids, and that's why women shouldn't be dependent on just to have babies. And I'm like, no, that's where y'all are wrong. I wanted to be a mom. I wanted to have this pregnancy. We were trying to grow our family, and nothing was wrong during the pregnancy. Nothing was wrong during the childbirth. Everything came out healthy with Amelia. It was all because of my IV.
Not even so much from a C-section, because people that have natural births have IVs.
Right.
And, you go to, I've had pneumonia, I've had IV. It's not, so it could happen to anybody, but just, like Krystina said, speaking up for ourselves, but you trust the doctor so much.
Right.
You're like, oh, okay, well, and you're in the hospital for 3 days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. You want to get home back to your son, your 2-year-old son, and you're like, I miss him. I miss my Bubba's, let's get back home. And literally, it's not, it turns from 3 days to 3 months. And if we just take the extra time but you trust the doctor. You trust, and like Krystina's saying, it's a lot.
So, talking to a therapist, I think, really did help my mentality, because as strong as I think I mentally am, there's still some things that I have to work through, and there's things that I have to talk about with someone other than family, so that they don't have to, take on that pressure as well. Because he worries, my mom worries a lot, because she's my mom. She's also a mother, and she worries for us a lot. But I tell her, Mom, I can do this now. I can do that now. I can help. I can cook. I can, drive around. And, well, I'm worried about you driving. So I'm like, anything I do, I say, even if this wasn't wrong with me, you would still worry about these things, because anything could happen. But my mom's a very strong woman. And I think that's who I get my strength from, because there's no one stronger to me than my mom. And
I know that you guys lean on faith a lot, and I'm sure that was a big part of what you had to do.
Right.
Was there any point in time that you questioned it, or did you just?
For me, I wouldn't say question, but be angry. Like,
the why.
Yeah, the why, like,
or why us?
The why us, but not. not so much question, his works, but because I always believed in God. We were raised in the church and stuff like that. But and I never stopped believing. But the anger is there, and then you find out it's for a reason. It's brought us close. I mean, it's brought our family closer. It's brought the community closer. Like I said, the fundraiser brought the community together. It really, truly did, and it sheds light on some things that you can't sweat the small stuff as much, and there's more out there than just somebody cut you off in traffic.
There was a message behind it all.
It's going to show our babies that things are possible, and our kids are going to grow up to be hopefully wonderful kids. We're trying to raise them that way, but just seeing having the compassion for other people, and you can tell definitely our son he's a great big brother. Yeah, he has his moments, but what 5-year-old doesn't? But he takes care of our daughter so much. He takes care of mom so much. He takes care of me. Like can you go open the door for the dog? And he's running. Can you go feed the dog? He's running. And he's like, yeah, and yes sir, yes ma'am, and trying to teach those values that we were raised with, but even more compassion. It's kind of amazing to see. And our daughter's pretty great, and she's learning so much. And like Krystina was touching on earlier, just being a young woman, and it's not just about the outside, but it's about the inside as well. And so you want to raise your kids like you want to have a friend with them, So I think those are the hidden message too.
Yeah. Yeah. How to be better
humans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Parents.
Better
yeah.
parents.
And some of what?
God definitely gave us a good pair of kids, and we do work good together.
Did Owen experience any jealousy in the beginning?
No.
Not at all?
Everybody's asked that.
Really?
He's been a good
he
brother.
never has been.
Really?
I mean, obviously, if she's sitting on me, he has to sit on me too. But it's never like, no, don't sit on mom.
He
It's
does that
always.
to me. He does that when I try to hug Krystina. He's
Oh yeah,
get away from my mom.
I'm his woman. So.
Yeah, there you go. Because I have an older sibling, and she's probably watching. She'll watch this, and she's still jealous of me when I was born because I'm the younger.
Oh, okay.
So there was a lot of jealousy in that. So that's why I asked that question, because it happens.
No.
It's a possibility that it happens.
But no, he's really a good brother, and even he'll teach her little lessons. He's like, Mom, sister, don't do that, because then you're gonna fall and you're gonna hurt yourself. Or remember, those are the shoes that give you blisters, so I wouldn't wear those, sister. And we call those sister. And so, just those little lessons that we're passing to him, he's passing it to his sister.
That's
So it's
awesome.
really cute to see.
That's awesome.
So it just, makes us happy to know that we're raising good little humans, and they're going to be great partners one day as well, because, they just have so much love.
He'll be protective of her when they're older.
And that too.
I'm sure.
I don't know. She's pretty feisty.
She's pretty headstrong.
Yeah.
She's our independent little girl. She wants to do it herself, and it's her way or the highway.
It sounds like she's getting that from you and your mom, maybe.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah,
Very strong-willed. Yes, we are very strong-willed. Yes, so.
Christina called her a diva. You're a diva. She's like, no. I'm Amelia.
Oh,
I'm Amelia.
I'm Amelia.
Yeah, so.
wow.
I'm sure you have really big future plans. Can you explain a little bit of that?
Yes.
What your goals are with your family, with your work life, your career, all that.
It's a lot of goals. So right now, with work and education wise, I'm actually pursuing my doctorate in special education. I knew that I wanted to stay in that realm along with school psychology, special education field. So I'm going through Texas Tech, their online program for a doctorate in special education. And with that degree, I plan, my dream one day, and it's always been my dream, and even when I met him, I always talked about always having my own practice. I always wanted to own my own practice and in the community, I've noticed that there is a need for mental health workers. There is a need for mental health in general, and facilities specifically for children, because a lot of what I've done for the school district, I've always had parents, well, there's nothing here in town where we can take them, and there's one facility, but their wait list is so long, and they only have so many providers, and we have to drive our kid an hour to San Antonio just to take him to therapy and an hour back, and they have to miss school. So what I've always wanted to do in the community was open my own practice and have options for therapy, have options for counseling, have options for advocacy, have people on our staff that will help parents of students in special education and go be advocates for them during the meetings, because there is so much jargon and acronyms that we use in special education that it's sometimes really hard for parents to understand and really know if their student is getting what they should be getting, what they deserve. And that's why I would want to have advocates to help those parents, as well as have the option of parents getting evaluations done as well for their students. So a little conjunction of everything, along with mental health, special education, and therapy along those realms is what I really want to do. Work-wise, and that's one of my goals. That's always been one of my goals in life. And I knew I always wanted to go back to school. My mom said one of her dreams was always to see me in the little cape and the hat. She's like, I just think you look so cute in that hat. I'm like, I could buy a costume instead of going to school. But no, I always wanted to be Dr. Krystina, and now I'll be Dr. Krystina Pacheco. And that's always been also one of my goals in life. And now that I'm actually in school, it's becoming surreal, and it feels exciting that I'm on that path. And hopefully our kids will see that as well, and pursue their education, because to us education is really important. And we wouldn't be where we are in life without our parents pushing us to get our degrees and to even help us through college financially. We wouldn't be there. We wouldn't be where we are without our parents, and we're very thankful and grateful to them for that. And we want to hopefully, do the same for our children and push them into education and be whatever they want to be. We're not going to push them this way or that way. One of them, Jacob says, will eventually become a coach, and one of them will probably do, something in the mental health or medical field, because, everything we've been through and what they've been raised around. But so hopefully one day our kids, will do something special, but I know they will. And work-wise, I continue to work at the co-op and contract with them. And the good thing about contracting is that I get to pick and choose, what days and what hours, how many hours I want to work. And that gives me the flexibility to pick up our children still. And Our Lady of Grace does a lot of volunteer work. So I get to volunteer at Owen School and do all the fun stuff, and be there as a mom. And that was what was most important to me. So I'll still contract, I'll still work, and go to school and work towards our future, together. And Jacob has an exciting future ahead.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
Let's hear it.
I just was appointed the new head coach for soccer this year. So that's a new challenge for us today. This year. Not today. Challenge but worth it. Not it's going to be different.
A blessing.
A blessing for us. And with her support, with everything that's happened, and not being a coach has been run through our mind. It has been a conversation on our hand for a while now. Because coaching does take a lot out of your time with your family and your wife and your kids. But she has definitely supported me, because she knows that's been my ultimate goal, and that's been my lifelong goal, actually, to be a head coach. And and she's been right there behind me. So that's pretty amazing for her to do that for me.
Yeah, I knew it. You know, when we met, he was so passionate and just so good with the students, with the players. You know, he has this special connection with his players that I don't really see, and it's really rare to see a coach to have that, or you know, even a teacher. And you know, he knows what kids he can speak to directly, and he knows what kids, you know, need a little bit more compassion and a little more empathy towards.
Right.
And so just for him to decipher which ones are which, I knew he was a special person.
Thanks, babe.
Yeah. And so we're excited for him to start this new journey, and very happy for him. I'm very proud of him.
Thanks.
Well, it sounds like y'all are both going to be super busy, but you know, good busy.
Yes,
and
good busy.
Good busy.
That's exciting things up ahead,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm sure you're just going to keep on going. I mean, you have inspired so many people, you know, through your TikTok, through your social media, through, you know, just saying your story.
Yeah, and I speak for a lot of people too, just to piggyback on what Charlie just said. You know, the inspiration that you exude for a lot of people, and even me personally, because you know, we go through little things in our lives that may be just minuscule things, and we think it's just the end of the world, but in the back of our minds, just think about you,
Thank you.
and
Thank you.
it lifts you, and I appreciate you being open.
Thank you.
Because
Yeah.
I think it's helpful for a lot of people to hear this, and I think that when people listen to what you're saying and what you're doing, it brings a lot of awareness, and I appreciate you doing that.
Thank you. Thank you. It definitely was a decision to be open about it, but I think it was for the better. I knew I wanted to do that to help others. I didn't want to do it for people to feel sorry for me, because I'm definitely not that person, or, you know, I didn't think I was going to inspire so many. I always thought, you know, if I just help one person or two, like, that'd be okay. I'd feel happy about that. But it's been more than one person that has come up to me and just say same thing. You know, you inspire me to just be a better person, and even in our day-to-day decisions, just to be better people. And I've even had people just come up to me and just say, "Can I just give you a hug?" And I'm like, "Sure, I love hugs."
Yeah.
Bring it on. I'd rather people do that than just like stare and like want to. And I'm like, why is this person staring at me? But
Because you just want to be normal, like
Yes.
just like every day, and not be, you know, that
Looked at.
spotlight of a person, like,
Yes.
what's going
Looked at
on.
differently.
Yeah.
yeah, and that's also one thing that that we did as a community that I really loved, that everybody jumped in, and Noelle got you know, in charge of that, was the spreading awareness in Orange. And that truly just like warmed my heart, that so many people jumped in and wore orange on Wednesdays in order to spread that awareness. And it's hard in April, because April is like awareness this and awareness that, and, you know, autism awareness, and so many things that we can bring light to. But I think it was just so touching and so, you know, personal to us to see everybody wear orange on Wednesdays. And even, you know, the schools, and, you know, our son's school wore orange. And even if we could just teach kids that there's different people in this world and not everybody looks the same, but that doesn't mean we treat others differently. You know, we just treat them like anybody else. And that's how, you know, I tell him that I don't like it when people stare, because it just makes me feel uncomfortable, obviously. But if they would just ask me what happened, I would be very open about what happened. And I just want people to look at me normal, because that's who I am. I mean, I'm just very upfront and normal and
Christina.
normal, quote
I'm just
unquote.
Christina.
Yeah, I'm just Christina. Yeah, yeah, I'm literally just me, and I can hold good conversation, and we don't have to make it weird. But yeah, so
I think about the part too about the inspiration. When she started, it was mostly for amputees.
Yes.
But it's involved into a little bit of everything now, and it's because there is a small community of amputees, and it's kind of like it's overlooked. It's very much overlooked, and that's where it started off. How to put her contacts on, how she brushes her teeth, how she does her makeup, and it is possible to do these things. And then it just became like for everybody, and just to, like we said, spread the awareness of being good to people and being nice to people. Like that's what it's really about. Being nice to people.
And finding light at the end of the tunnel sometimes, because even people who are in a just dark headspace or just going through their own dark time, it helps them know that there's light at the end of the tunnel, and that every day is a new day.
Absolutely.
I even got a tattoo, and it says "Mañana será bonito" from a Carol G song. She's my favorite artist, and it's "Tomorrow will be beautiful." Mañana será bonito.
It's so pretty.
Thank you.
Well, we'll close. Thank you for joining us in this episode. Look forward to more episodes in the future. And always look for A30 Amplified. It's powered by PleasantonExpress.com. And be sure to log on to PleasantonExpress.com. And we thank you for your support for community journalism. We thank you, Jacob. We thank you, Krystina.
Thank you, guys.
We appreciate everything that you guys are doing, and we look forward to catching up with you guys in the future.
Yes.
Thank you.
Sounds good.
Thank you.